Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to AM News on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Shehu Said. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channel 276. The National Council of State has unanimously approved the appointment of Professor Joash Ojo Amopitan, SAN, from Kogi State as the new chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, following President Bola Tinubu's presentation of his nomination to fill the vacancy left by Professor Mahmoud Yakubu's exit. President Tinubu described the 58-year-old legal scholar as the first North Central nominee for the position and commended his apolitical stance and integrity, a sentiment echoed by Governor Ahmed Usman Ododo and other council members. The president is expected to forward Amopitan's name to the Senate for confirmation in accordance with constitutional provisions. Nigeria's Senate is taking a firm stance against what it describes as misleading international narratives portraying the country as unsafe for Christians. Lawmakers have resolved to hold an executive session next week to deliberate on moves by the international community to classify Nigeria as a terrorist nation over alleged Christian genocide. Global TV's Topsy Gimba reports.
The decision followed a motion raised by Senator Ali Ndume representing Borno South on the urgent need to correct what he termed as false and dangerous narratives about religious persecution in Nigeria. In his lead debate, Senator Ali Ndume expressed concern over the growing support, particularly in international circles, alleging widespread attacks targeted at Christians. He challenged recent moves by the United States Congress to list Nigeria as a country of particular concern, insisting that such claims ignore the reality that both Christians and Muslims have been victims of terrorism and banditry.
Note that Nigeria continues to face insurgency, terrorism, banditry, communal violence, and criminal attacks, which have tragically claimed the lives of both Christians and Muslims.
In contribution, Senator Aliu Wamako, Kao Suleiman, and Ibrahim Jimo supported the motion, stressing the need for a balanced understanding of the crisis. Senator Jimo particularly called for a deeper investigation into the motives of terrorist groups before any conclusions are drawn.
Killings, October and Paragua. No, not all of them are Muslims and not Christians. This Mr. President cannot be allowed to continue as it is. We must take decisive steps to ensure that we readdress the reality of what is ongoing in Nigeria.
And I think as a parliament, we must take a position and we must join hands with the government to inform the U.S. and the U.S. Congress that the position they are taking is not in tandem with the reality of what is going on.
Understand the tactics and the practice of the terrorists.
Advising the senators on the motion, the Senate leader, Kwemi Bamidele Ikiti Central, called for its step down to another date following the motion's complex nature.
Our conviction that the insecurity problem, the insecurity challenge in Nigeria is not religion-driven.
Resolving on the motion, the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, ruled that the motion be stepped down to Tuesday next week, where it will be deliberated in an executive session following the complex nature of the matter. He, however, countered the international community on its decision that Christians were not the only ones persecuted in Nigeria.
Only religious-driven, but very complex, so that we can come up with a proper strategy that will not only address the issues, but also clean the image of Nigeria. So that
the Senate adjourned the plenary as soon as the motion was taken to resume sitting next week, Tuesday. Topsy Gimba, reporting for Global Television News.
Meanwhile, Nigeria is taking a bold step to reclaim its voice on the global stage as the federal government officially presents Dr. Tawhid Olufemi Elias as its candidate for election into the International Court of Justice, ICJ. The presentation was made by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Metamatuga, to members of the diplomatic community in Abuja. Ramsey Enoch Agbo has details.
For over a decade, no candidate from the ECOWAS region has served at the International Court of Justice, a gap Nigeria says must be bridged. Addressing ambassadors and international representatives, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Metamatuga, says Nigeria's latest nomination reflects the country's commitment to strengthening Africa's representation in global judicial affairs.
Africa has consistently contributed jurists of great distinction, yet no candidate from the ECOWAS region has served on the ICJ since 2011, when Judge Abdul Koroma of Sierra Leone concluded his second term. Even more striking, Nigeria, Africa's most populous nation, has not had a national on the court for over 30 years.
The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Umar Ahmed, says the presentation of Tawhid Olufemi Elias as a candidate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for the International Court of Justice is with profound commitment.
As Nigeria presents its candidature to the International Court of Justice, we do so with a profound commitment to the values of international law, fairness, and impartiality, values that we know are equally held in high esteem by your governments. We are therefore deeply appreciative of your openness to engage with us on this important journey.
In his remarks, Dr. Olufemi Elias reflected on his decades of legal and academic experience, noting that his candidacy represents not only Nigeria, but also the aspirations of Africa for a stronger presence in the international legal system.
In order to rise to the top, particularly in a judicial capacity in any system, you have to have experience, practical experience in that system. I have spent more than 20 years in the United Nations system as a lawyer, serving in different capacities in The Hague, in Arusha, in Tanzania, in Geneva, and in Washington, D.C.
FRN for International Court of Justice, as Nigeria rallies international support for Dr. Elias' nomination, the country hopes his election to the ICJ will mark a new chapter for West Africa's participation in advancing justice and fairness on the global stage. Ramsey Enoch Agbo, Global TV News, Abuja.
The House of Representatives has directed its Committee on Basic Education and Examination Bodies to investigate the financial activities of the National Examination Council, NECO, from 2023 to 2025. The motion, sponsored by Amobi Organ, came under matters of public importance. National Assembly correspondent Aniete Patrick has more.
OGA expressed concern over alleged irregularities in NECO's budget implementation, internally generated revenue, and the reported use of variments without legislative approval. He reminded the House that Sections 88 and 89 of the 1999 Constitution empower the National Assembly to summon any government agency and demand full accountability. Following deliberations, the House resolved to mandate its Committee on Basic Education and Examination Bodies to investigate NECO's financial performance and bank records from 2023 to date and report back within 3 weeks.
The House is worried that NECO is allegedly implementing its vehement without the required legislative approval. If this is so, it is a flagrant violation of our Constitution and inherent powers of this Honorable House.
In another development, the House of Representatives has resolved to conduct a comprehensive forensic audit of Nigeria's power sector reform program. spanning nearly 2 decades to determine how trillions of naira in public funds were utilized. The motion, sponsored by Basi Ekpenyong, Labour Party, Cross River State, came under matters of urgent public importance at plenary. He expressed concern that despite repeated interventions, loans and budgetary allocations over the years, the country continues to grapple with erratic electricity supply and poor infrastructure. They mandated an ad hoc committee to investigate all funds allocated and expended under the electric power sector reform program from 2007 to 2024, a period covering the now repealed Electric Power Sector Reform Act of 2005 and its successor, the Electricity Act of 2023.
The House resolved to invite the Minister of Power, the Managing Director of Nigerian Bulk Electricity Trading PLC, heads of Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission, the Transmission Company of Nigeria, Rural Electrification Agency, and other relevant stakeholders to appear before the committee.
Ministers and heads of relevant agencies have been summoned to appear before the committee, which is to submit its findings and recommendations within 12 weeks for further legislative action. Annie T. Patrick, reporting for Global TV.
In a bid to rebuild lives shattered by years of insurgency, the Borno State government is calling on development partners to support its new initiative aimed at empowering over 56,000 children orphaned by the Boko Haram conflict. The appeal was made during the official launch of the Economic Reintegration Program for Children Affected by Armed Conflict held in Maiduguri. Mukhtar Qasim has details.
For more than a decade, the Boko Haram insurgency has torn families apart, leaving behind thousands of children without parents, education, or a clear path to the future. Now, through the Borno model of post-insurgency resettlement, the state government says it is determined to change the narrative. At the launch of the reintegration program, Commissioner for Education, Lawan Wakilbe, emphasized the importance of providing orphans with vocational training and empowerment skills. Tools, he said, are vital to securing their future and restoring hope.
We don't have the capacity to handle children who have handled arms. That is why we are calling on our partners to develop a model through our state agency for mass education. And that is why we have invited the executive secretary so that we can cater for the education of those smaller ones.
Also speaking, UNICEF country representative Wafa Said, represented by Shah Mohammed, expressed concern that years of insurgency have robbed many children of their dreams, exposing them to trauma, abduction, and violence. She noted that with proper training, life skills, and psychosocial support, these children can rebuild their lives and contribute to lasting peace and resilience in their communities.
Of protecting conflict did not just affect the national economy, it has also affected the personal economy and earning power of families and young people. Each year, over 1,000 of children will benefit from these institutions, gaining practical skills that open doors to employment and livelihood.
Now, as Borno continues to heal from the scars of insurgency, this initiative offers renewed hope, transforming tragedy into opportunity for thousands of orphaned children. With more collaborations from partners, the state's vision for recovery may well become a model for post-conflict rehabilitation across the region. Mukhtar Qasim, reporting for Global Television News.
The federal government says it remains fully committed to uplifting and supporting nurses and midwives across the country, describing them as the backbone of Nigeria's healthcare system. Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila, stated this at the National Nursing Summit and the official rollout of the Nigeria Strategic Directions for Nursing and Midwifery held in Abuja. Health correspondent Zahra Nasir was there for us.
With nurses and midwives accounting for nearly 60% of Nigeria's healthcare workforce, the federal government says strengthening their capacity is central to improving the nation's health delivery system. represented by Director State House Medical Center, Dr. Dikio Obalum. The Chief of Staff to the President, Pemi Bajabiamila, says the new nursing strategy aligns with President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda, in that ensuring quality and accessible healthcare becomes a right, not a privilege. He urged stakeholders, government agencies, and development partners to embrace stronger collaboration to achieve the goals of the initiative.
I must begin by expressing my profound admiration for the Honorable Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, the dedicated team of Nursing and Midwifery Council of Nigeria, and all stakeholders.
The Coordinating Minister of Health, Professor Muhammad Ali Fati, explained that the new direction promotes evidence-based nursing and midwifery practice across all health facilities, raising professional standards and setting Nigeria as part of the first country in West Africa to implement such an innovation.
We thank WHO for its lead role in helping facilitate this document. It is not meant to be a document sitting on shelves, but a blueprint for transformation.
Also speaking, the Chairman, Senate Committee on Health, Dr. Banugo, emphasized the importance of continued investment in nursing and midwifery education, describing it as a cornerstone for a stronger health system.
All this is meant to gear us towards universal health coverage and improved workforce for our health services all over the country.
On his part, the Registrar Nursing and Midwifery Council of Nigeria, Dr. Indagi Al-Hassan, said the summit provides a platform for professionals to discuss key issues affecting the practice and contribute to achieving universal health coverage and the sustainable development goals.
At the end of the program, we will develop a strategic plan for 5 years of the blueprint of what we want the nursing and midwifery workforce should be.
As the federal government strengthens its healthcare reforms, this new strategic framework signals a renewed drive to empower those at the heart of patient care, the nurses and midwives. Zahra Nasr, Global TV News.
You are watching the live broadcast of AM News. When we return, the Tigers draw Germany, France in World Cup qualifiers. Details coming shortly, plus business and foreign stories on the other side of this break. Stay with us. Welcome back. And in business, President Bola Tinubu has warned marginal oil field license holders in Nigeria without capacity to look for something else to do instead of wasting their time in the country's oil and gas industry. He gave the warning during the commissioning of the $400 million Green Energy International Limited crude oil export terminal in Otakikpo, Rivers State. Represented by the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Senator Heineken Lokpobiri, President Tinubu noted that marginal oil field license holders must meet all obligations expected of them. And the House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee on Illegal Mining has vowed to tackle the menace head-on and recover billions of dollars lost annually to the activity. The committee says illegal mining remains a major threat to Nigeria's economy, environment, and internal security. Over to our National Assembly correspondent, Aniete Patrick, for the details.
At the inauguration of the ad hoc committee in Abuja, Chairman Sani Abdurrahim declared that Nigeria can no longer afford to lose an estimated $9 billion every year to illegal mining operations. He said the committee will work to block revenue leakages, enforce transparency, and ensure that all proceeds from the country's mineral resources are properly accounted for.
It is estimated that Nigerians lost approximately $9 billion annually to illegal mining activities. This theft of our resources that should be enriching our nation has gone on for too far a long time. It is time to put an end to it. Our mission is very clear. It is to block these revenue leakages.
The lawmaker emphasized the need for stronger interagency collaboration and tougher enforcement measures to sanitize the sector. Delivering a goodwill message on behalf of the Commandant General of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, Assistant Commander of the Corps, Atta Onoja, said the mining marshals established in March 2024 have made significant progress.
Just 3 weeks ago, we secured convictions, and all these are efforts geared towards ensuring that we demarcate illegal mining activity in Nigeria. Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps as an agency is assuring this honorable committee of our maximum cooperation, maximum support where necessary.
To regularize their operations with relevant agencies, a development the House Committee says it will build on to ensure accountability and sustainability in the mining sector. With the committee now set to begin investigations, expectations are high that Nigeria may finally stem the losses and restore order to its mining industry. Aniete Patrick, reporting for Global TV.
We move to the foreign scene. In Cameroon's Anglophone regions, a separatist-imposed lockdown ahead of the October 12 presidential election has forced schools and shops to close, leaving residents trapped in their homes and struggling to cope with weeks of disruption amid a decade-long separatist conflict in the country's English-speaking areas. Uyi Agmomofegbe completes the report.
Where visitors once used to gather on Limbe's spectacular beaches of black volcanic sand, holiday makers have become scarce since fighters from the country's Anglophone minority mounted a revolt in 2016. Separatists had taken up arms after the government brutally crushed protests by English speakers angry at what they saw as their marginalization in the mostly francophone country, killing at least 6,000 people in fighting. In recent years, the conflict has eased, though tensions have risen with Cameroon's upcoming presidential election scheduled for October 12. Some citizens speak on the implications of the lockdown.
This lockdown was supposed just to focus on school resumption, but taking it up to October, second week of October, is a lot of suffering to the common population, and I think the presidential election 2025 was targeted, or it was a target to make sure that people don't go out to vote.
This is one of the prolonged lockdown that we have more than 6 weeks, because it happened that this year too is an election year, and you know the separatist lockdown is meant to frustrate the activities of the state, which is the election.
However, academic activities and civil life have been far worse hit by the extremely restrictive measure put in place by government.
Teachers come, the students are not there. For the few teachers who are able to come, those who live in the green zones where there is security. The ordinary civilian, we just have to be cautious and take precautions for our own safety.
Since the crisis began, the separatists have called for a ghost town strike each Monday, with shops shuttering and locals told to stay at home. Uyi Agmofwegbe, reporting for Global TV News.
Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Keir Starmer, says the UK will not relax visa rules for India. He was speaking shortly after he arrived in India to discuss the benefits of a recent trade agreement. Starmer is leading a delegation of more than 100 entrepreneurs, cultural leaders and university vice-chancellors as he attempts to boost UK investment and improve sluggish economic growth. Edikan Michael reports.
Nearly 7,000 brand new jobs will be created in the United Kingdom, propelled by the raft of major new deals secured by the Prime Minister during his visit to India this week. 64 Indian investors have confirmed their confidence in the UK as a business destination by collectively investing £1.3 billion into some of the Britain's most thriving businesses demonstrating the impact of the UK-India trade deal. The Prime Minister believes the UK-India trade deal is a launch pad for turbocharged domestic growth, with these figures proving it's already bearing fruit. From next-generation electric motorbikes, semiconductor development and agricultural innovation, the investments will benefit some of the UK's most exciting industry and cement the UK-India economic partnership. The UK-India trade deal will reduce tariffs on imports from UK to India and vice versa, and it's creating a lot of boost momentum to UK-India trade. Now, India is already the UK's second largest investor. More than 1,000 Indian companies operate here in the UK. The Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, believes these investments are a powerful endorsement of the global standing order for UK's economic potential. Edikan Michael, reporting from England for Global TV News.
Well done, Edikan. And in sports, as preparations intensify for the 2025 Nigerian University Games, the Defense Headquarters has reaffirmed its commitment to ensuring a safe and successful tournament. The assurance came as officials from the University of Jos paid a courtesy visit to Abuja. Samuel Odi reports.
Ahead of the much anticipated Nigerian University Games billed for November 6th to 16th, officials from the University of Jos, led by the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Tanko Isia, visited Nigerian Defense Headquarters in Abuja to strengthen security collaboration for the event. The visit, which also had members of the local organizing committee and the Games consultants in attendance, focused on fostering national unity and youth development through sports.
We need spirited individuals like yourself to back us, to support us, to endorse, this Nuga game, 27th Nuga Games.
Welcoming the delegation, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, praised the university for promoting peace and national integration through sports. He pledged the armed forces full support to ensure a secure environment before, during, and after the games.
Sports, for me, sports has been one area that has really, impacted on my life all through since I was a kid, coming up. And so it also, like you also mentioned, it pains me a lot when I see that we're not really giving, and we have the talents. God has blessed this country with so many talents. There are so many people that the talent God has given them is not classroom, sports.
Also speaking, the NUGA 2025 Chief Consultant Goshem Obed Bella emphasized the need for stronger collaboration between universities and security agencies to advance sport and empower young Nigerians.
Mentioned changing our narratives, engaging youths again during the game as volunteers, and also trying to create awareness how we can peacefully coexist.
With the University of Jos set to host over 220 universities, including the Nigerian Defense Academy, the strong backing of Defense Headquarters boosts preparation and confidence ahead of NUGA 2025. Samuel Odi for Global Television News.
And that's it on Global TVM News. Global Morning continues shortly. Thanks for being with us.